again, we're going to do a practice problem where we're going to convert 60 degrees to radians. Step one is the key right here. So we're always going to start out with the fact that pi radians is equivalent to 180 degrees. That's step one always. Step two is to make two fractions out of step one. This is a very simple process. What you do is you put this over that. That's one of the fractions. And then you put this over that. That's the second fraction. So we're making two fractions out of the first step. We're saying pi over 180 degrees or 180 degrees over pi. Okay, that's step two. That's easy. Don't confuse it. It's not that hard. Pi over 180 degrees and 180 degrees over pi. That's step two. All right, now step three is where we do the actual converting. What we do is we take what we're converting, which in this case is 60 degrees, and we're going to multiply it times one of the two steps. Times one of the two fractions from step two. Okay, so now here's where we have to make a choice. Which fraction do we put in? Do we put the left one in or do we put the right one in? So here's how you decide which of the two fractions to use as your multiplier. We're going to take 60 degrees, that's what we're converting, and we're going to multiply it times one of these two fractions. Now, we are converting out of what units?
Degrees.
Right. So what you want to do is you want to pick the fraction, very important. You want to pick the one of the two fractions from step two that has the same units that we're converting out of, and we're converting out of degrees in its denominator. So which of these two fractions has the same units that we're converting out of in its denominator? Left or right?
The first one, left.
The left one, yeah, not the the left one. Okay, so we're going to take this fraction, the pi over 180 degrees, as our multiplier, and we're going to be able to convert from 60 degrees to radians by doing this multiplication. You always pick the fraction that has the same units that you're converting out of in its denominator. Okay? If we were converting out of radians, we would have picked the fraction that has radians in its denominator, which would be this one right here, pi radians. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and multiply the two fractions times each other. Now, whenever I have a fraction times something that's not a fraction, I want both things to be a fraction. How can I quickly turn this into a fraction, Marco?
Put a 100.
Very good. You can turn anything into a fraction by putting it over 1. Very important that you understand that. So now, whenever we have a fraction times something that's not a fraction, just take a second, turn the thing that's not a fraction into a fraction by putting it over 1. Now, when we multiply, the units will cancel between the numerator and denominator. Just like we can cancel numbers between the numerator and denominator, we can cancel units between the numerator and denominator. So I'm going to be able to cancel the degrees. You see that?
Yes.
This degrees cancels and this degrees cancel. Now when I multiply straight across the top, when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across, numerator times numerator. I get 60 pi radians in the numerator. And in the denominator, I have 1 times 180, which is 180. Now I have to reduce this fraction to end up with the final answer. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite 180 as a factored number with 60, this number right here being one of the factors. I'm going to rewrite 180 as 60 times some number. That way I'll be able to cancel the 60s. This is a good way to reduce fractions. It's called factor and cancel. Now, how can I rewrite 180 as 60 times what number?
3.
Good. 60 times 3. So I'm going to rewrite 180 as 60 times 3. So now I have 60 pi radians over 60 times 3. Now, what can I cancel here between the numerator and denominator?
The 60s.
Very good. So what's my answer?
It is pi over 3 radians.
Perfect. A little louder.
Pi over 3 radians.
Perfect. Good job. All right. Should we? Yeah.